Now, with Major League transactions at a premium, teams have to make sure that they follow the rules. If you don't follow the rules and you make a mistake, it can be costly. Now, in part 2 of his series, WJZ's Mark Viviano speaks with the Orioles' Ned Rice, who has been learning about the rules and how to follow those rules ever since he joined the Orioles.
So my first full-time job here was I was kind of our lead statistical analyst. I was working under Andy McPhail. When Dan Duquette got here, I kind of started in this job, so it's less part of my day-to-day, but we have really expanded our analytics department. Sarah Gellis runs that department. We've added more people, we've added more resources, we've added more technology. The things we're able to do now far surpass what we could do 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, and even further, of course. It's a big part of our decision making. We have scouting reports that we put a lot of trust and a lot of faith in. You know, we have weekly scouting calls with our pro scouts. But they really go hand in hand. I know Dan puts a lot of emphasis on trying to make sure that we know what we're doing analytically and our scouts are good, and that you put it together and you'll have your best possible evaluation to you know, there's still a lot of uncertainty, but it gives you the most tools to make the best decision.
You look at guys with certain numbers and knowledge of those numbers. Do you watch a game differently?
Sure. You know, I think, you know, I've gotten used to, I always have a computer open during the game, so you're kind of, you know, when another manager pinch hits, you want to see what is he thinking, what's this going to be. But at your core, you're still watching as a fan. You're still nervous the same time anybody else is nervous. A tie game in the 8th, and you're still just as ecstatic when something goes well. So you watch a little more analytically, but it's still the raw emotion of the game is still there.
Did you ever have a thought as a kid that, yeah, I want to be son of on this track where I help run a Major League Baseball club?
Most people with similar jobs to mine are not fortunate enough to work for the team. You know, they grew up a Red Sox fan, now they're working for the Astros or something like that. So I'm very lucky that I've gotten to work for my hometown team, and you know, I'm a huge Orioles fan and always have been, so it's pretty neat.
The course of the game indicates you might need a pitcher from Norfolk tomorrow because of this game. Talk us through the process of you're watching the game, Dan's watching the game, Buck's managing the game, all that has to happen.
I think you guys have seen, most fans have seen that, you know, it's real important to Buck and Dan that we have 25 guys that can help us every night. So if if we have a long man pitch 4 innings and the start, you know, so Buck's always saying, what if the starter tomorrow doesn't go well? He wants to make sure we have a piece. So as soon as we know that, you know, starter goes out in the 2nd or there's an injury, you know, we're gonna kind of start leaping into action, try to make sure that we have the scenario covered. We'll call Brian Graham, our farm director, or we'll call Ron Johnson, our AAA manager, and kind of see what our options are, who's available. You know, make sure that people that Buck might want haven't pitched yet. Sometimes the call will come from Buck. Buck will call up and say, you know, Ned, make sure this pitcher doesn't pitch today. You know, I think we're going to want him for tomorrow. We'll call and they'll make sure they stay out of the game. But you know, while the game's going on, like you're saying, behind the scenes, we're trying to make sure we're already a day ahead, trying to make sure we're going to be okay for the next day.
Because of the way Buck and Dan run this club, does that make your job more challenging? Sure.
I mean, but it also, I mean, I think that's also a big part of what's allowed us to be successful is, you know, we're lucky now, and there's not a problem we had a few years ago. We have more than 25 guys that we think are major league caliber players. So now when we're trying to decide who to send out, we're sending out someone who's good enough to be here. So that's hard, and I give the players a ton of credit. I mean, everybody, we haven't had all the tough sendouts we've done, guys that come in and just pitch 6 shutout innings and they'll get option the next day. And we haven't had any issues with that. Everyone is part of the same goal. Everyone wants to be the last team standing in October. So we've been real lucky that everybody's bought into what we're trying to do, and it's been great that it gives us the best chance to win every night.
What would it mean to Ned Rice if you are the last team standing in October?
That'd be pretty fun. Like I said, I mean, it's a combination of, you know, it'd be very fulfilling professionally, but again, you grow up an Orioles fan. You know, I watched the ALCS in '96 and '97, and all the years where we weren't very good in between, and those were hard to watch. So, like even when we made the playoffs in 2012, you know, it's just, again, the combination of both personal and professional fulfillment from that was really great. So I can only imagine the next level, and hopefully we'll get to experience that.